the topic of discussion itself from each of you, which is unleashing the animal spirits. The budget was supposed to be one which will set the stage for Viksit Bharat, India 2047. What in your view, and I'll go around the panel first, getting your initial thoughts before we come down to specifics. What in your view, Mr. Aggarwal here, is the budget's key themes, according to you, and do you think the animal spirits will be unleashed by this?
I think, first of all, Viksit Bharat and the India growth story. These are the two very, very important things. As far as the India growth story is concerned, that is going very well. All of us know it. Our economy is growing. And then on top of it, what the budget can do to take this growth further, I think is to give the further boost of capital expenditure, because that has the multiplier impact on all other parameters. If we can see the allocation for capital expenditure, even though it has been kept as same, which was there in vote on account, 11.11 lakh crores, but that amount is I would say quite substantial. And this is on top of already a very high base, because last year itself that was increased by 33% from 750,000 to 10 lakh crores. So therefore, on top of it, this allocation. And then when you say unleashing animal spirits, I think once the central government is spending so much money, it means there is so much expenditure happening, so much income is getting generated, so much activity is happening, and that activity is further than creating that virtuous cycle, which will lead to more investments from the private sector.
I mean, we'll come back to that issue because there is a view that private sector investments haven't really followed through. We'll come back to that. Dhruv, your initial thoughts?
Yeah, I think, for me, one big positive, in this budget, and, you spoke, and the theme of the conference today is, or the panel is unleashing animal spirits. I think the abolition of the angel tax for startups was a big one for me. I come from the startup ecosystem, having started my company about 12 years ago. I think last few years have been extremely troublesome for new startups and founders, where they've been receiving notices from the income tax department, taxing them on the difference between the book value of the shares and the premium they've been collecting, and how startups traditionally get funded is through high valuations, especially from foreign investors. So that, I think, was a big dampener for the ecosystem. But the abolition of that angel tax in this budget, I think, was a big ask of the startup ecosystem. That having been abolished, I think, is a big plus, which will, I think, unleash animal spirits further.
Do you think that sort of, as we go to the autumn of the funding winter, and now it's the funding autumn, as somebody said, do you think that will really add to that?
I think so. Look, I think the funding autumn or winter, as you said, I think it's the winter, and hopefully the winter is about to end now. I think it will add to that. We all know that 2020, 2021, this post-COVID, saw a lot of excesses in the entire funding ecosystem globally. I think valuations were crazy, and a lot of capital was coming in, sometimes unjustifiably. But that happens, when there is the greed cycle. I think that went into autocorrect mode towards the end of 21. And I think things will start coming back as interest rates start to go down in the US as well. But clearly, this particular move will definitely aid that, because there was this regulatory overhang on all fundraisers, which I don't think was a healthy thing. So I'm quite glad that happened.
Vineet, your initial thoughts, pluses, what did not happen according to you, what could have been better, your initial thoughts on this?
I wouldn't want to comment on the budget specifically, because we believe now that the budget is becoming one of the directional documents for growth. It is not the only document. It is a path, it's a direction for the country as a whole. But there are lots of other things that are happening. I mean, a few years ago, we should talk about the railway budget. It's no longer there. And other than that, the other impetus, whether it is coming from organizations like Niti Aayog or the general feedback the government is giving on a regular basis, schemes that get announced throughout the year, states are bidding for new projects, new investments that are coming up in different parts of the country. It's an ongoing thing. We are no longer dependent on February 1st only. Earlier it was February 28th, I think, or
Yes.
something like that. So we're no longer dependent on that. We moved away from that. So I think it is directional, and it is a positively directional. So it's not populist entirely. It will probably become populist as we are thinking it might be with the elections that happened this year. And ultimately, the animal spirits will only come when there is confidence in the system. Across the board, there has to be confidence, whether it is someone at a consumer level, someone at a trader level, someone with a SME, MSME, and subsequently the larger corporates when we're talking about the business community. But people have to feel confident. And when people start feeling confident, that's where an unleashing of the spirits will come. And we'll probably dwell into that later.
Do you think that this is a confidence booster kind of a budget?
Certainly. I think, some of the steps where consumption should trigger consumption with more money in people's hands is one of the steps, clearly. But as I said, there are lots of other things that are parallelly happening.
Ashish, more money in people's hands, do you really agree with that view? Because there are contrary opinions on that as well.
So, at the outset, my apologies for joining in late. I'm coming from the healthcare background. I think, it has been taken with a pinch of salt. A lot of expectations from the current budget. Yes, there has been some positives, specifically directing to the medical devices and cancer treatments.
Drugs, yes.
Those are the two ups for us. But I think our expectations, especially from a private healthcare standpoint, where there's a lot of interest from private equity coming and trying to invest in healthcare specifically. I think we could have gotten better if there was some specific focus on the financial aspects of the healthcare operations. In last 3 or 4 years, we have seen that huge amount of interest, especially after the post-COVID era. Everybody is focusing on healthcare. With the kind of corporatization which has happened in healthcare in last few years, and the kind of technology being used up, and the medical devices industry is expanding big way. And unfortunately, not many products are being made in India. So we end up paying a lot of money at the end of the patient's end, or the consumer end. There's a big cost to get the delivery. So PMJ scheme definitely is getting spreading to a larger population, but I still feel, there could have been more concrete step in terms of the healthcare delivery, and of course the survival of the corporate hospitals and the chains as a whole in India.